So, on to digestive health. So, factors affecting our digestion. Stress, massive impact on our digestion. If any of you do eventually go on and do the Nature's Aid training course, number one module in there is the digestive system. And the reason being is if you get the digestive system functioning properly, then everything else seems to fall into place behind it. So it's really key to our health. We often eat food rapidly on the go. We're cramming food in, driving to the next appointment, etc., etc. We eat a lot of processed foods, processed meats, refined grains, ultra-pasteurized and difficult to digest dairy. They're very often devoid of enzymes, the food we eat. So that creates a very acidic environment in our body. We would like to be alkaline. As an individual, our body should be alkaline, not acidic. Too much acid is a bad thing for us. That leads to infection, to yeast overgrowth, etc. And ultimately a weakened immune system. We destroy a lot of the enzymes that are naturally present in our food because we blast it with heat and we cook it to death. And we're very scared of food not being properly cooked, so we cook it too much and then we destroy all the enzymes that are naturally there. And then we end up looking like this poor soul here. We eat too many foods that are frozen, they're dried, they're irradiated, they're loaded with preservatives, with colours, with additives, flavours, covered in pesticides. It all has a load on our body, like we discussed before, 500 chemicals that shouldn't exist, now exist in a human body. So, beneficial bacteria, the good bacteria, and I know you've heard a lot about bacteria this morning, so I'm not going to bore you with too much about bacteria. The digestive enzymes, we know they decline as we age. Our digestive enzymes probably decline by about 10% per decade from the age of 20 onwards. So when you're a teenager, you can eat a huge steak and go back for second helpings. When you get to 50, believe me, you can't eat even one huge steak. So antibiotics, they're also going to have an effect on that digestive system. Traveller's tummy is going to be bad for the digestive system. How many of us go away on holiday, bowel movements are affected straight away, you come back, they're still not quite right. It takes you a while to settle back into your usual routine. So good friendly bugs and those enzymes are really going to play an essential role in maintaining our health. Virtually every biochemical process in our bodies rely very heavily on those enzymes to make that process get to that critical point where it actually works. So without enzymes, those life processes, even with all the vitamins and minerals, just wouldn't exist. And if they slow down to such a degree that we start to feel ill from it, then we've got some real serious problems. Our health starts to suffer. We've got billions of bacteria in our digestive system, good and bad bacteria. Favourable ones, obviously, I know you've heard it all this morning, digestion, immune system, etc., etc., resistance to infection. Research shown as we age, the body's ability to be able to decline, to produce those enzymes decline, as I say, about 10% per decade. So by the time you're 50, 60, you've lost over a third of your digestive enzymes. It's no wonder the elderly population start to have a lot of digestive difficulties, and they tend to reach for the Rennies or Gaviscon or whatever to help calm that heartburn down. Nutritional supplements will go slightly different with that, and I'll talk about that now. Really important for manufacturing some of your bacteria as well are your digestive enzymes. Just flick very quickly through our particular product. So we've got acidophilus complex. Don't need to know what it's for. Our particular product is a blend of 5 billion Lactobacillus acidophilus, rhamnosus and cassie. And it's dairy-free. Digestive enzyme complex, I'll talk a little bit about this because this is important for things like indigestion, improvement of our digestive function, allergies and candida. Allergies, food intolerances, are often caused by insufficient digestive enzymes and the probiotics. It helps improve our vitamin and mineral absorption. So our particular product, you've got amylase in there for carbohydrate metabolism, lipase for fats, protease for the protein, cellulase for breaking down cellulose, lactase very unusually, not many digestive enzyme complexes contain lactase, but how many people have lactose intolerance? So we put some lactase in there. We also have a substance in there called betaine hydrochloride, hydrochloric acid. And this is where we differ from the orthodox approach of taking antacids when you've got too much acidity. If somebody comes to me with excess acidity, I would give them a product with betaine hydrochloride. Sounds crazy. I've got excess acidity, I'm going to give you more acid. But what it does, it actually tells the body to stop producing acid. It's negative feedback. It slows down acid production. And you'd be surprised, it actually does work. So the probiotic complex is basically a mixture, our product, of bifidobacteria, lactobacillus acidophilus, with fructooligosaccharides, the prebiotics, a couple of billion. Interesting fact, really, bifidobacteria, very often lacking in the elderly. So this would be a good product for the elderly. Pro 30 Max is our award-winning, multi-strain, 30 billion, 8 different strains of bacteria. And we get so much feedback. This is Nature's Aid's second biggest selling product. If anybody could tell me what the biggest one, apart from Porrick, because he knows, was last year, you'd definitely get a prize. We sold more DHA than anything else for children. It's amazing. But this was number 2. Because it works, and that's the important thing with these things, they work. CoQ10. So we've got coenzyme Q10 and we've got ubiquinol. In effect, coenzyme Q10 is what they call oxidized ubiquinol. It's like when you slice an apple in half. The green apple is the reduced form, the ubiquinol. The brown that it becomes when it starts oxidizing is the oxidized standard Q10. Our bodies contain ubiquinol. We use ubiquinol. It's the best form. But most supplements come in the form of coenzyme Q10. And this is because up until very, very recently, they couldn't manufacture it. As soon as a bit of air entered the environment that were manufacturing it, it turned back to coenzyme Q10. They've now been able to patent a process to produce it and encapsulate it, and we'll talk about that one very shortly. So what's it good for? It's great for the heart. They say if our level of CoQ10 falls by 75%, our heart will stop. That's how important it is. And we lose 10% per decade of this as well, just like your enzymes. We're losing 10% per decade of our CoQ10. So probably the reason why most people don't see beyond 100 years of age. If you're losing 10% per decade and 75% causes your heart stop, that puts our average life about 95. So supplementing with CoQ10 in your later life could certainly help to extend that life. Statin users. Statin users really struggle with coenzyme Q10 levels because the process that manufactures Q10 in our liver ceases to function. So statin users very often will come and say, I've got muscle aches, muscle pain, muscle weakness. I might have double vision. I've certainly seen that. I've got shortness of breath. I've got memory and thinking issues. I've got sexual function problems. That's another common complaint for people on statins. So if they're on statins and they're trying to look after their cholesterol level, get them some Q10 alongside it. In some countries, in Canada, they prescribe it alongside. It's a great energy booster because it's part of the electron transport chain. It improves our energy levels. There's some good studies with Parkinson's disease. 1,200 milligrams of CoQ10 a day has been shown to reduce the mental decline of Parkinson's sufferers. Great for gum disease. Again, this is a personal one to me. My father had radiotherapy 30, 40 years ago. Teeth were falling out. They were loose. He was told to have them pulled out. Started taking CoQ10. Overnight, literally overnight, went firm. He lasted with his teeth another 30 years before he finally lost them. He has lost them now, but great for gum disease. I mean, that's an extreme case, but it just illustrates how good it is for those gums. So, as I say, important part of what we call the electron transport chain. Our products, we produce a 30 and a 100 milligram product. They come from a plant fermentation. When I first started in this industry, all CoQ10 was produced from pig's brains, but it's not anymore, so nobody needs to worry about that. It comes from plants. And it's in an oil base. It needs an oil base. Dry forms, tableted CoQ10 are just not as effective unless you take it with a very oily meal. and it's in a sunflower oil base, so it makes it GM free. So don't need to go through ubiquinol, because ubiquinol does exactly the same as standard Q10, but it's also an antioxidant as well. One thing I would say about ubiquinol, 50 milligram strength is our product. If you want to quadruple that, that's roughly the effectiveness of ubiquinol against CoQ10. So taking 150 milligram ubiquinol is like taking 200 milligrams of CoQ10.